12 days before the NFL's biggest showcase, the Super Bowl, the league was on the receiving end of bombshell news. Former Miami Dolphins head coach Brian Flores is suing the NFL and three of its teams, the Dolphins, Denver Broncos, and New York Giants, alleging that the Broncos and Giants discriminated against him during his interview process for their vacant coaching jobs. Flores, whom Miami fired on January 10th, led the Dolphins to a record of 19 wins and 14 losses the last two seasons, the team's first set of consecutive winning seasons since 2002 and 03. Yet Flores alleges the organization, quote, treated him with disdain and painted him as, quote, non-compliant and difficult to work with when he says he twice refused to meet with a prominent quarterback of another team, a potential violation of the league's tampering rules. The inclusion of the Denver Broncos in the suit stems from Flores' interview with that team 3 years ago, when he was one of the NFL's hottest head coaching candidates after helping New England win Super Bowl 53. Flores says that the then Broncos general manager John Elway and other team executives showed up to his interview an hour late and appeared to be hungover following a night of drinking. Like the Dolphins, the Broncos have denied Flores' claims of the meeting, which occurred on January 5th, 2019. The 40-year-old Flores also claims in the lawsuit that teams are making a mockery of the Rooney Rule, which was established to help identify and interview minority head coaching candidates for teams with vacant positions. The rule states that each team with an opening must interview at least one minority candidate. In 2020, the NFL amended it to mandate teams interview at least two minorities for head coaching roles and one for front office and general manager positions. Many have believed the process is a sham, and at least along the coaching ranks, the numbers speak for themselves, including this offseason's hiring cycle. Of the last 31 positions filled, only 3 were claimed by black head coaches. So far this season, 4 teams out of 9 have filled their head coaching vacancies. All 4 were filled by white men. Perhaps the most damning portion of Flores' claims is that he was set to interview for the New York Giants for the second time on January 27th. However, 3 days earlier, he received text messages from his former boss, Patriots legendary coach Bill Belichick, who congratulated him on landing the Giants job. When Flores informed him that he was texting Brian Flores and not Brian Daboll, the person the Giants eventually hired, Belichick responded, quote, sorry, I effed this up. I double-checked and misread the text. I think they are naming Brian Daboll. I'm sorry about that, end quote. Flores went through the interview as scheduled, with the firm belief the Giants knew they were hiring Daboll the entire time. He's interviewed with Houston twice, as well as Minnesota and Chicago, but Tuesday, Flores chose to file the lawsuit on the first day of Black History Month. He says that in addition to unspecified damages, he is seeking a number of changes from the league, including increasing influence of black individuals in hiring, increase the objectivity of hiring/terminating GMs, head coaches, and coordinators, increase the number of black coordinators, incentivize hiring/retention of black GMs, head coaches, and coordinators, and transparency of pay for GMs, head coaches, and coordinators. In a statement, Flores seemed to understand he could be sacrificing his future NFL coaching career, saying, quote, God has gifted me with a special talent to coach the game of football, but the need for change is bigger than my personal goals. In making the decision to file the class action complaint, I understand that I may be risking coaching the game that I love and that has done so much for my family and me. My sincere hope is that by standing up against systemic racism in the NFL, others will join me to ensure that positive change is made for generations to come. The NFL responded to the allegations, stating, the NFL and our clubs are deeply committed to ensuring equitable employment practices and continue to make progress in providing equitable opportunities throughout our organizations. Diversity is core to everything we do, and there are few issues on which our clubs and our internal leadership team spend more time. We will defend against these claims, which are without merit. Joining us to discuss the impact of this lawsuit is Bremante Bryant. He is a Washington, D.C. area reporter and radio host and has spent years covering the world of sports. Bremante, welcome to BNC. The late, great Malcolm X was one of those who said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. How powerful was it for Brian Flores to put the NFL on blast and to do it on the first day of Black History Month?
Well, it goes without saying that it was a bombshell. And it's obvious that he and his lawyers knew what they were doing, the timing of it on the first day of Black History Month. And if you get a chance, if any of your viewers get a chance to go and read the complaint, which is online, right there in the first paragraph, they mention Black History Month. They mention it's the first day of Black History Month that they're filing the complaint, and they drop names. They mention Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman. So many of the historic African American folks who have done so much for this country, they made a point of putting that in the lawsuit. So Flores is squarely putting this in the center of racial discrimination. And let's also remember that he also called the NFL operating under a plantation mentality. Words matter. And so he knows what he's saying, and his lawyers know the power of words. Now, what will happen with the NFL? I think the issue is that they say that they will defend the lawsuit, but they're not investigating the allegations. I think that's what's really important here right now.
We saw a moment ago the NFL statement. What's your reaction to the league calling Flores' claims meritless?
Well, I think it's the wrong thing to do. You know, the Rooney Rule has been around since 2003. What they have to know since then, I believe there have been 12 black head coaches hired of the 129 vacancies. So it would seem that the thing that they would want to say is, even if they say we don't believe there's merit to these charges, but we see how important they are, and we believe in diversity, and we will investigate these allegations.
Yeah, and 3 black coaches hired since 2018, only 2 of them lasting just 1 year. One of the most glaring reality checks, Bremante, is this. 1989, you had Art Shell, became the first black head coach of the modern era. Here we are 33 years later, and we have 1 black head coach in the NFL. Now with 32 teams, 28 when Art Shell was named as the head coach of the then LA Raiders. Even though there were 9 vacancies in this hiring cycle, several qualified black coaches available, none have been hired. 4 white men have gotten the call, 5 openings remain. How compelling is this lawsuit, and will the NFL wiggle its way out of another one?
Well, I think the issue here, Anthony, too, is how much power the NFL has over the owners. Because the NFL cannot make the owners, right, hire black coaches. They can encourage it. And so I think that's what's disappointing about the NFL's response to Flores's lawsuit, is that they believe there's no merit to it. When the Rooney Rule first came out, there was a push, there was a thought that said, okay, there's going to be more African American coaches. There were 8 up until 2019. Now we only have only 2 coaches of color, Ron Rivera with Washington, and as you mentioned, Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. So I think the onus now is going to be on Roger Goodell and the league to see how they can push these owners, right, to make the changes that they need to make. And I think what's important in that lawsuit also, it states that there has been progress made in the country, but that the NFL, they say, Flores in this lawsuit, that they're living in the past. And so they're basically saying, listen, we're trying to move forward as a country, but the NFL is still living in the past. And I think that's where that plantation mentality really sort of sticks out when you hear that. That's not the first time that's been said about the NFL.
So speaking of that particular topic, I want to dig into those text messages with the legendary Bill Belichick. He knew Flores was not getting the job before the announcement. Flores still scheduled for that follow-up interview with the New York Giants. If it's true, what does this say about a culture that many call a good old boys club?
I think that's really at the heart of this, that when they say, well, we should just hire the best candidate. Let's be clear that the Giants hired they hired a new GM who had worked with the Bills, and then this new GM hires the former offensive coordinator for the Bills. And so what happens is, what black candidates are saying is that we can't even really get a chance if you have that cycle of these guys who know each other hiring each other. Now, Flores still went in for the Giants interview. He's saying, well, you never know. I probably should still interview. But the fact that he had to do that, knowing what Belichick had sent him, and I think what's important here is I don't think Belichick will be burned by this, because he thought Flores had the job. But what it shows is what you said. Belichick knows folks from the Bills and folks from the Giants. So he knows the inside game. Flores really doesn't, even though he worked with Belichick for over a decade.
Brian Flores just turned 40 years old. Bremante has a bright future ahead of him, but this litigation very well could be sacrificing his future in the National Football League, and he has stated that he certainly is aware of that. Bremante Bryant, Washington, D.C. reporter and radio host, we certainly appreciate your time here on BNC.